Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TechGeek webinar series, our endeavor to empower techies. We believe that sharing of knowledge is the key to enhance our skills and grow us as professionals. With this principle in mind, we have initiated a series of webinars conducted by industry experts to give you all a crisp insight of various domains. The topic of today's session is ERP for laymen. Our guest speaker today is Mr. S.M. Bhatt, Deputy Manager at Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation Limited. Mr. Bhatt is a BE in Mechanical Engineering and a postgraduate diploma in Planning and Management with displayed credentials in initiating, administering, and executing across a portfolio of projects covering Abound ERP systems, integrated MRP system development, web-based application and desktop applications. He is a technically sophisticated and business-savvy management professional with continued career progression and documented history of bridging technical and managerial acumen coupled with insightful exposure to IT consulting, strategic IT management, infrastructure integration, business delivery and rollout, planning, and vision for future projects requirement, and technology management. So without further delay, I introduce you all to our guest speaker, Mr. Bhatt. Over to you, Mr. Bhatt.
Yeah, good afternoon, friends. My topic today is ERP for laymen. I'll try to explain things about ERP and generally tell you what ERP is and how it got evolved. But before we start on to that, we need to understand why we computerize our systems. The main reasons would be better visibility into the stores, which means you need inventory control, better visibility into your investments, which means costing, better visibility into your earnings, which means financial controls, better visibility into your manpower, human resources, better visibility into time, which is time to market, manufacturing and production scheduling, better visibility into the customers, which is sales and CRM, customer relationship management, better visibility into the product procurement process, purchase and supply chain management, better visibility into the design aspects, which is engineering, and better visibility into the maintenance domain. Consequences of computerization. What happens when we computerize? The handling of information is possible for more products, handling more changes in the product information, handling of more customers and changing the customers or other the installed base, and longer chains, more parties, more information enhancements for managing the chain. We'll look at how these planning systems evolved over a period of time. Like in the 1960s, there was just inventory control. The reason being that material was scarce at that time, and people needed to control the resources and plan for the resources of material. But after that, manufacturing in 1970s, MRP or material requirement planning came, where you needed to do planning and procurement both along with the inventory control, which means purchase came into picture. In 1980, one more M was added to the MRP, which was manufacturing resource planning, and that is why it was called MRP2, which was an extension of MRP to shop floor and distribution. In the mid-90s, ERP grew up, which is enterprise resource planning. What we mean by enterprise resource planning is the entire operations of enterprise, or all the departments or all the functions of enterprise are covered in the ERP. 2000 onwards, there is now a concept called ERP2, which is collaborative commerce, which deals with not only your enterprise but with the outside world, the customers as well as the suppliers. The traditional inventory control had several advantages and disadvantages. It was easy to maintain. It addressed dependent demand on BOM. Inventory planning was linked to sales order and forecast only. Purchases were made depending on these requirements. The disadvantage was that it was insensitive to changes in demand. It was insensitive to changes in the lead time. Possibility of stock out and overstocking was happening. Plans on past did not consider the future. And dependencies on other material or other products was not considered. At that time there were island of functions, like there were applications which address finance or customer service or manufacturing or engineering, etc. But they were island of information, and none of the data or the functions talk to each other. In MRP2 you had all planning functions integrated into the system, where bill of material, inventory, routing, business plans, sales plans, production plan, material plan, capacity plan, purchasing, shop floor, etc. were integrated. Here the plan to order, the system was plan to order rather than plan to stock. In inventory control we had a system where you plan to stock the material. So now it was able to handle the changes in demand or in the requirement. Addressed all the business process from acquisition of raw material to delivery of finished products. Integrated cross-functional online information. And it was a closed loop system. However, the shortcomings were emphasis on functional integration on business process, focus on enterprise, not on value chain, and it was not integrated with finance and human HR. Now the today's challenges, what yesterday was seller's market, today it's a buyer's market. Yesterday, because of your seller's market, there was a high batch size. Today's market, you have to produce as per the demands of the customer, so there is always a low batch size. Price was driven by cost, cost was driven by price. Production capacity and automation was there. Today human resource is a factor. The focus was on the enterprise, focus was on value added chain, shorter product life cycle, liberalization on global competitive market. The other aims also needed to be controlled, like money, manpower and maintenance. Some of the business processes are like a receipt of inquiry to receipt of order to dispatch to AR, that is accounts receivable, receipts of order to planning, planning to purchase to AP, that is accounts payable, planning to manufacturing and financial. These are the scenarios that needs to be addressed in any computerized system. So we came to what is known as ERP. It was a software designed for organizing and managing business processes. Modules share information across all business functions. Can share customer sales data with the supply chain to help global replenishments. All modules are fully integrated and use common database. Like here, where there was islands of information, the database were separate, the systems were separate. And talking of different systems was not possible, but with ERP there is a central database, and the communication between the different modules or functions is possible. Why management impetus to adopt ERP is that economic times of the late 80s and early 90s caused many companies to downsize and reorganize, which generated a stimulus to ERP development. Inefficiencies caused by the functional model of business organization limited the exchange of information between the lower operating levels. Functional module led to top-heavy and overstaffed organization incapable of reacting quickly to change. Process business model information flow between the operating levels without the top management involvement. Like when you talk of integration of ERP, you have inventory, purchase, vendor, CRM, payroll, accounting, customer, sales, all integrated into a single application. An example could be like lot of paper transfers between purchase, sales, finance, and other offices. In case of purchase of a printer, a lot of paperwork is being transferred between these departments. But once with an ERP system, the desk appears very simple because there is no paperwork or no paper being transferred physically between the departments. It's information through computer which gets transferred. The benefits of ERP is online data flow decreases process time because there is no physical paper movement or any document movement, so it is instantaneous. Fast and online confirmation, like even for confirmation you need not wait for other person to send the confirmation physically. It is now possible to give electronically. The paperwork has decreased. In fact, you go green by adopting an ERP system. No need for storage devices basically. Database security, because with paperwork there is always a chance of data falling, somebody taking out a Xerox or something and taking it away. Well, if you have got adequate security features built into your ERP system, most of the ERP systems have got good security features, which means that your database is always protected. And less employees are required to do the same amount of work or to do more amount of work, because the job gets different using ERP system. And it is easy financial management. A lot of information or financial management information flows in the computer, like even banks are computerized, so the data transfer between bank and the organization becomes easy and becomes instantaneous, which means your finances are also immediately realized. And of course, better inventory management. Like order fulfillment, before ERP, when an order came, it went to sales, it was collated and sent to production. Once produced, it was sent to logistics for dispatching, and this logistics on confirmation of the item sent would inform the billing department to bill the products. This was a physical movement, and it took time of movement of paper. But with ERP, all systems have got automatic connectivity, and the information flows between these services or departments instantaneously. Like when a sales order is received and it's broken up and accepted as an order, the manufacturing would know what to produce, how much to produce, when to produce. The inventory would know how much raw material to purchase for manufacturing to do the production. HR would understand how much manpower would be required to fulfill that order during production, things like that. So all ultimately the base to an ERP system is a financial accounting system, where that is known as the point of integration. So you have got shipping also affecting finance, receiving affecting finance, manufacturing affecting finance, HR affecting finance, and manufacturing affecting your inventory. Shipping happens from your inventory. Customer orders are processed through inventory. So basically all of these systems are tightly integrated into one another. Some of the modules that you need, you can talk about is the ERP components are financial, would be like accounting, treasury, asset management, logistics. Under logistics, production planning, material management, plant maintenance, quality management, sales and distribution. Under HR or human resources, you have personal management, training and development, and skills inventory. These are the components or modules and submodules of an ERP product. Now, when you would say, like, how do I evaluate an ERP? You have to look at the functional fit. You have to look at the tight integration between the modules. You have to look at the flexibility of an ERP, how flexible it is or not. You have to look at the scalability, because as your business grows, you need to have a system which could scale to those levels. Of course, you need user friendliness, otherwise there would be no acceptance to the system. You have to also look at the implementation time, the complexity of the product, and how much implementation time would it take to implement ERP. And you need also to take a look at the database technology behind the ERP system. So when you talk about upgradability, customization, is customization allowed, not allowed, what is the local support, what are the reference sites that are available, and ultimately, last but not the least, the total cost of the whole project. You can make use of consultants. Many different roles for consultants are there: staff project, backfill office staff, audit to the project, service, prime contractor, project management. These are different roles of the consultants that can be involved in the ERP project. But too many consultants relative to you may limit knowledge transfer. Too few consultants may limit ERP expertise on the project. Like, you need sufficient consultants who are knowledgeable about each and every module of the ERP. Otherwise, it would be difficult for the people to understand and implement ERP. Right of refusal over the consultants. You need to watch against the overselling of the consultant, because it could be like if 2 consultants are required, people might quote for 4 consultants, whereby they are able to earn more money. When you go for a contract, leave it to the expert. Like, do not attempt to implement ERP on your own. There are people, experts in implementation of ERP, and you have to leave it to them. Then you have to look into the fixed cost versus the time and material with or without a cap. Like, it might be that if it keeps on lingering and keeps on extending, which is not the correct way to implement ERP. There has to be a cap either on the time or on the material. Build flexibility into the contract to accommodate changing technology. It should not be that the contract is only one-sided and does not provide you flexibility to react to different requirements of the users. It should be flexible enough to accommodate the requirements. Another thing is to, of course, you need to check the references as to their implementation done and how well they had done the implementation in various reference sites. And last not the least but most important would be to be skeptical of vendors' promises and get everything in writing. The vendor would promise you the moon, but ultimately would deliver stones. So you need to have everything in writing which he wants to deliver. He says he would be delivering you. Do not keep anything in verbal. The next important thing in ERP implementation would be moral of the team. It can put a strain on the personnel because the people are supposed to implement ERP and do their normal work also along with the daily routine, which means they are going to do double work than what they were doing previously, which would put a lot of strain on the people. Schedule the downtime events to help boost morale. So like there should be sufficient time for them to relax, and gaps should be there so that they are not overstrained. So keep an eye on the individuals on the edge. Like if people are going to get a nervous breakdown, they should be treated properly. And most important is to celebrate the achievement of the milestones and recognize individual and team contributions, which would again boost the morale of the team and lead to a good successful implementation. ERP project management is a selection. ERP is a selection of the project management. You need a very good project manager, a professional with experience in project management, with both functional and technical knowledge, because he is going to lead the project and he is going to either make or mar the ERP implementation. So the entire cost and all aspects of your investment depends on the project manager and how good he handles the team. Use standard methodology to provide guidance and structure to the project. Use standard methodology. Do not work on a haphazard manner. In addition to the project manager, there should be function and technical managers. So to assist the project manager, below him there should be functional manager and technical managers who are knowledgeable about functions and technology. Use of committees and executive steering group. Like there should be a steering group who would be keeping a watch eye on the entire project and handling grievances or handling or taking policy decisions wherever required. So it should have sufficient authority to do that. Now, naturally with this recruitment and retention issues would come up. Like generally we need to give bonus for the life of the project, efforts that have been put up by the people, find and nurture people early, backfill the staff because people might be involved in ERP, so you got requirement for the same work also to be filled up by a backup staff. Knowledge transfer and mentoring, like generally in ERP you cannot train the entire organization at one go. So the concept of train the trainer is there, and you need to ensure that mentoring and knowledge transfer happens once these people, the trainers, are trained. Of course, stress management and team building is most important. create a single team atmosphere. Avoid us versus them. Instead of like ask them to think in the terms of us rather than blaming each other. Partnership between functional and technical teams is essential. The partnership between senior management is like the CIO and CFO is also required. Partnership with the consultants, those who are implementing the ERP, like teams are supposed to compose of consultants and working side by side. Partnership with the users. The functional issues are uh, needs analysis. Like you need to do a gap analysis to the as is process, that is the current process, and your to be process or what is supposed to be the process. Process engineering, setting expectations, like how much could be achieved using this particular ERP or what is expected out of the ERP. Backfilling of staff, obtaining user buy-in acceptance, training, recruiting and retaining the staff, validating of data and systems, conference room pilots, and reporting, communication, process documentation, audit of data and system. All these are important functional issues which needs to be addressed. The technical issues are sizing of the system. As far as like your hardware, what should be the RAM, what should be the hard disk, what should be the power of the system, what type of servers would be required. Recruiting the talent for technical staff or programmers, database administrators, etc. Conversion of data, interfaces, designing of interfaces, report development, change management and problem taking, network issues. So these are the things that are required, like help desk and ongoing support is required. Upgrades and revisions needs to be planned, and production budget also is required. These are some of the technical issues that you need to handle. Post implementation issues, most problems end up being process issues and incorrect usage of the system. So the problem is not of the product but incorrect usage. Like if it is a methodology has to be followed, it has to be followed in the same way. Like there is a concept in computerization known as GIGO, garbage in, garbage out. The same thing applies in ERP also. Like if it is wrong data is keyed in, the ultimate result also would be incorrect and the system would be useless. So there may be some questions about ERP, like how much does an ERP cost? Should every business buy an ERP package? Is the software inflexible? What return can a company expect from its ERP investment? How long does it take to see a return on ERP? Why do some companies have more success with ERP than others? Like how much does an ERP cost? It depends on the size of the software. It depends on the size of the company that it serves. Need for new hardware that is capable of running complex ERP software. So you need hardware which supports this ERP. There is a consultation and analysis fees. Time for implementation is, again, time is money, so you have to factor in the same that cost also into your ERP systems, and the training cost, both in terms of time and money. Now if you look at the cost components, software cost be hardly 30%, consulting would be around 24%, hardware would be around 18%, implementation team would be around 13.5%, training would be 10%, 11%, and others miscellaneous would be around 4%. This is the breakup of the cost components of an ERP system. Should every business buy an ERP package? Some of the business operations and some segments of its operation might not be a good match with the constraints of an ERP. Sometimes a company is not ready for ERP. So it depends on whether the company is interested or ready for ERP or not. ERP implementation difficulties result when management does not fully understand its current business processes and cannot make implementation decisions in a timely manner. This is the most important thing. The management has to understand its own business processes and take timely implementation decisions. Is ERP software inflexible? Many people claim that ERP systems are rigid. Up to a limit, yes. Options for customization are offered by ERP. Numerous configuration options can let business customers for software to fit their needs. Like there are configuration options which allows a limited bit of customization. Programmers can write specific routines, but the entire ERP package cannot be changed, or if it is changed, then it does not remain an ERP. Once an ERP system is in place, trying to reconfigure it while retaining data integrity is expensive and time consuming. You cannot change the configuration once ERP system has been implemented. So before you start on to implementing of ERP, you have to be very clear and very concise about your requirements and your configurations. What returns can a company expect? ERP eliminates redundant efforts and duplicated data and can generate savings in operation expense. Like in the past, when you had islands of information or different systems, a sales invoice had to be posted in the sales system as well as in the finance system, which resulted in duplicate of data and sometimes in data integrity also. Like if the information being fed by different people is different for the same invoice, then both the data would never tally. But with an ERP, invoice entered at the sales automatically creates invoice entry JV in the finance, and it need not be posted in the finance department. ERP system can help produce goods and services more quickly because it provides insights into the data and the requirements and the inventory and the entire functioning of the organization very easily and very fast. Company that does not implement an ERP system might be forced out of business by competitors that have an ERP system. Smoothly running ERP system can save a company's personnel, supplier, distributor and customers much frustration because all of these are linked to each other and they are able to work on a common platform or on the common data and are at sync with each other. Cost savings and increased revenue occur over many years. Difficulty to put an exact figure to the amount accrued from the original ERP investment. It's difficult to put an exact figure of how much the saving would be, but it is a a truth that ERP investments do provide cost savings, but putting a number figure is difficult. ERP implementation take time. Other business factors may be affecting the company's cost and profitability. Difficult to isolate the impact of ERP system alone. Like when you say that it takes taking time, it may not be that the ERP implementation itself is taking time. Lot of other factors also would be affecting the company's profitability, and it will be difficult to isolate the impact of ERP system alone. ERP systems provide real-time data. This is the most important thing is ERP systems provide real-time data. It improve external customer communications. How long does it take to see a return on investment? Return on investment of an project's value, assessment of an investment project's value, calculated by dividing the value of the project's benefits cost. ERP systems ROI can be difficult to calculate again because quantifying or cost savings is difficult. So in quantitative terms it's difficult to define an ROI period. But like there is a research study which says that 60% of companies that performed the calculation reported a positive ROI for the ERP. Most companies felt that non-financial goals were the reason behind their ERP installations. So like, even if it could not be quantified, there were a lot of other non-financial gains which happened due to the ERP installations. Why do companies have more success with ERP than others? Usually rollout low ROI are caused by people problem and misguided expectations, not computer malfunctions. Executives blindly hoping that new software will cure fundamental business problems that are not curable by any software. Like people believe that it's a magic wand which would create a magic and increase their productivity, etc., which is not true. Executive and IT managers are not taking enough time for a proper analysis during planning and implementation. They're in a hurry to implement the ERP and not doing the planning properly. Executive and IT managers keeping on employee education and training. This again is a very important thing. Employee education training is required, so because they are the ultimate users of the ERP system, and if it is not used properly, then the ERP implementation is never a success. Start with the evaluation of needs and requirements. Compare possible solutions to see which one is the best fitting, best of breed versus integrated solutions, big bang versus phase implementation. These are the decisions you need to take before you start implementing the ERP process. Yeah, one more most important thing is to limit customization and scope. To change or not to change your old business practice. The one decision that you need to take, because sometimes it is best the ERP implementation becomes a success if you do what the ERP forces you to do. If you change the ERP, then the gains of ERP is lost. Are you paving cow paths or improving your business process? Are customizations really needed? Because customization costs. So if you ask for a lot of customization, the thing would be that you are spending a lot of money, unnecessarily money on customizations, for small customizations also, and it costs time also. Watch out for scope creep and hidden customizations. So this is one which you need to look out for on hidden customizations, where the user might say that a little bit of change is required so that it fits my requirement, and ultimately the system is entirely changed. Not everything is green with ERP. There are disadvantages of ERP also. It takes time to realize the benefits of an ERP system. Forces people to change, because generally the ERP is rigid. Make decisions that they never required to. They were never required to make. Do things that they never required to do before. ERP systems are strategic solutions. In essence, some companies are betting their future on a successful ERP implementation. If the implementation fails, the consequences to the company can be disastrous because a lot of money would have gone down in the ERP. Companies have gone out of business as a result of failed ERP implementation efforts. Again, the same reason, a lot of money and effort would have been spent on implementing the ERP, and if it is not a success, the companies have to shut down business. Cost. The cost of ERP is very expensive. ERP vendors can charge a license fee renewal annually, which can also again become a costly business. Consultants may need to be used for installations or to maintain the ERP. You need to pay to the customers again, or customer consultants to maintain the ERP. And employees may need to be trained in ERP so that they can fully utilize the system. This becomes a costly proposition when the trained employees leave or there is an attrition rate once ERP has been implemented. Expertise. Success of ERP depends on the skill, view and experience of the company. Enterprise view cutting training funds as a way to cut cost. Enterprise view cutting the training funds as a way to cut costs. So once the training is cut, then ultimately it results in a bad use of the system or improper use of the system by the employees. Smaller companies may need to underfund training. This means that ERP system is often operated by personnel with inadequate education in ERP and the ERP vendor package being used. So they don't realize the capabilities of the ERP. Proper training of the workforce is dependent for the success of the ERP. New employees must be trained before they can properly start working because of the ERP system. You need to train the employees. And the disadvantage is flexibility. They can be very rigid and may not fit the business flow of the company trying to use it. Company may need to customize the ERP package, which isn't allowed by most of the ERP vendors. Now we come to the way in which you can acquire ERP. There are three options, and you can make using internal resources, you can buy an ERP package, or you can make using external resources. So building ERP using internal resources, the facts are not driven with clear focus on expectations, time and cost, poor software project management because it's an internal team, lack of seriousness with the management and the IT team, high employee turnover, which would create a problem because a lot of things would have been explained or understood by a particular employee who leaves and some new person comes in. A lot of schedule gaps during project execution. People may have other work to be done or other priorities, and there would be a gap in the project execution. Normally project life cycle is more because it takes a lot of time to develop and with limited resources. Frequent changes in the scope, it happens because the management considers that since it's an internal team, they can be asked to do whatever is expected whenever they require. Against that, there is a tailor-made ERP, which is a predefined ERP. The pitfalls and points of concern are costly compared to custom-built options. A lot of hidden costs are there in the tailor-made ERP, like consultant costs, annual maintenance contract costs, software database costs, things like that. Chances of cost and time overruns are high if not properly selected. The level of customization and indigenization is very low. Compulsion to pay for redundant modules, like you may not require certain modules, but it comes bundled in the software. which means that you are unnecessarily paying for those modules which you are not going to use. Vigorous involvement of all during the implementation is required. Non-availability of special practices like customer complaint, logistics, etc. is not available in case if it's not a good selection of the ERP package. Linking of historical data is offline and painful. You cannot have your past history data available to you. The requirement of change management is a must. It means you need to change yourself rather than the ERP. Dependency on outsiders is very high. They are the ones who have made the ERP, but who are not knowing your business would try to implement your system. IT department poor grip on the implemented systems. The IT department does not have any grip on the implemented system, but are supposed to fulfill the requirement of the management. Critical success factors are to form an optimistic approach of the management on adapting the ERP product driven methodology, on customization, and on monetary commitments. These things the management has to fully understand and be forming and defining these things. There should be a dedicated team exclusively reserved for implementation of the ERP. Good training needs to be provided. Strict adherence to the project schedules has to be there. Right technical infrastructure should be there. Like whatever should be oversized actually in terms of server sizing, etc. And change management is to be handled properly. The third option would be custom built ERP solution using the external resources. It is also developing the ERP solution but using a third party staff. The points of concern would be software development vendor has to be selected properly. Requirement scope finalization has to be done properly, because again because of customization there will be islands of information that might be there. Less chances of value addition would be there by the third party. Most problematic would be it would not be time tested or system tested, because it might be developed one-off for you. And the chances of prolonged project duration, the project duration would keep on prolonging as requirements creep in, or on the ability of the consultant party to execute or write programs for the system. The critical success factors there would be clear vision, support to the management, capabilities of software development vendor has to be known, scope and expectation finalization towards the meeting the ERP concepts, strict implementation schedule and periodical monitoring, and involvement of the IT and functional teams has to be there. Some of the top ERP vendors like SAP, Oracle, PeopleSoft, SSA Global, Microsoft Dynamics, JD Edwards, Siebel. These are a few well-known ERP vendors. Many more in the market. Now ERP has evolved to what we were saying about is ERP2, where various industry verticals are being introduced. So you have a industry sector 1, 2, 3, 4, X, Y, Z. All of these are being taken care of now. If you compare ERP to ERP2, the role is from ERP optimization, enterprise optimization to value chain partnership, e-commerce enablement happens. In ERP, the domain was manufacturing and distribution. In ERP2, all sectors and all segments are covered. The function in ERP is manufacturing, sales, distribution, finance, etc. While in ERP2, the functions as cross-industry and cross-industry sector and specific industry process. The process in ERP is internal or limited to the enterprise, while the process in ERP2 is externally connected, like your sales, customers, suppliers, etc. are connected. ERP was architecture was web-aware closed system, while in ERP2 it is web-based and open system. The data in ERP was internally generated and internally consumed. It was used for the enterprise own functions only. While in ERP2, the data generated is internally and externally published and available. So like in terms of functional evaluation also, you had sales, finance, purchase, distribution, production, HR, which was the typical ERP package components. While in ERP2 package, you have got e-procurement, integrated plant, supply chain planning, collaborative product, private marketplace, customer relationship management, supply chain execution, partnership relationship management. So the entire functioning of the business is covered in the ERP2 package. So beyond ERP, you have got the supplier collaboration, customers and channel collaboration, and design partners. So you have collaborative planning, whereby you have supply chain, product life cycle management, customer management. So the outside world has come into the folds of ERP in ERP2. Thank you.
Well, thanks for the insightful presentation, Mr. Bhatt. Let's quickly take up the questions now. Please read out the questions from your chat pane and their answers so that all our users may listen to your commendable insights.
Yeah, any questions?
Are in your chat pane. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I hope you're getting the questions in your chat pane, Mr. Bhatt.
No, I'm not getting that. I'm waiting actually.
Have you undocked the chat
Undocked,
pane?
yes, yes.
Can you please resize it?
Just a minute.
You need to enlarge it. Yeah.
Yeah, but nothing is there.
Okay. Did you get a question now?
No.
Okay. So I'm going to read out the questions for you.
Okay.
There is a question from Mr. Ramapada, and he's asking how ERP helps in education system.
Yeah, in education system, you will have an ERP system. There are available for schools and colleges or universities or whatever thing you are talking about. But like you have got the entire all the functions of the school or college covered in the ERP, right from accounts, administration, school timetables, scheduling of lectures, exam schedules, paper setting, etc., and administration, and even providing support to the students. All these things would be covered in applications are available or modules are available for doing all these functions.
Our next question is from Sagar Meher. He's asking how is ERP moving on to the cloud?
How is ERP moving into the? Hello?
How is ERP moving on to the cloud?
Hello?
Hello? The question is how is
On
ERP?
the cloud, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, with the cloud technology now, things have moved from the ERP LAN WAN to a SaaS based also system, and ultimately actually the thing is, like, as far as ERP is concerned, still people are not preferable to move on to the cloud because they feel that the data, their ERP data or financial data, manufacturing data, etc., should not be put on the cloud because of the security reasons. So I have not seen too many of ERP systems moving on to the cloud or people taking advantage of cloud computing for ERP.
Okay, we have a question from Mr. Achyut Nayak. He's asking what are the quality standards which are applicable to the audit of ERP systems? What quality standards are applicable to the audit of ERP systems?
On quality standards, I mean, basically the ERP vendor, if it is a ERP system which is like, say for example SAP or Oracle, they have got their own standards and they have got their own methodology of evaluating or auditing the ERP. However, there are no standard quality standards like ISO 9000 for ERP.
I have a question from Mr. Mohammed Shahjahan. He's asking when managing
Yeah.
an ERP project, what is the key to a fresher project manager?
Key to a fresher project manager.
Yeah, while managing ERP projects.
Qualities in terms of if you look at it, like he has to be provide a supportive role because a lot of change management is required in ERP implementation, which means that he has to be able to convince the staff or the people below him and the management or the both the sides, like in the junior staff and the senior manager, to adapt the changes that are there. So the most important quality would be able to be a convincing person, and over and above that he needs to be a good listener, because then only would be able to understand the problems that are faced by the users or the management, the expectations of the management, and he can convey those things to the vendor.
Okay, there's a question from Ms. Priya. How can we make a company realize that the ERP will bring them the benefit?
uh, that actually you need to look at the case studies from different people, and as I told, it depends on the company themselves whether they are going to realize the benefits or not. Like, even if I tell you that it is going to realize, but if it's not done properly, then it will not be a success. So to convince them, you have to show various case studies where it has been possible, and the ERP implementation has brought results. I think that should suffice to the management.
Mr. Ritesh Biswal
Because
asks,
quantifying ERP is, yeah.
okay, Mr. Ritesh Biswal is asking the difference between ERP and SAP.
SAP is ERP basically. ERP is a generic terminology, the enterprise resource planning, and SAP is a product. Like it is a similarity I could say is like scooter and Bajaj. Like when you say scooter, it is a type of product, and Bajaj is a company. Similarly, SAP is a company which supplies you with an ERP package.
Okay, another question is PeopleSoft an ERP?
Yeah, PeopleSoft is an ERP, but I think PeopleSoft has been now purchased by Oracle, and it has become an integral part of Oracle. So of course it is an ERP.
Mr. Prashant Singhal is asking which ERP would you suggest according to the current market?
That I am not free to make a comment, a personal comment on the ERP package, but I would make a general statement saying that if there is a small company, it would rather be advisable to go for some small package, some custom built package, to get the system going, or rather to inculcate technology into the organization. If it's a big company, then you need to go for a package solution which provides a lot of functionalities, facilities, and is always with the latest technology in terms of like cloud computing or web enabling or latest hardware, software, etc. And that is all I can say. I cannot comment on a particular product.
Okay, there's a question which is on what criteria can we decide whether to go for custom built ERP or an in-house developed ERP?
In-house developed ERP would be preferable if you got a small company and you want to start with, that's what I say, that if you want to start with functioning or inculcating the technology into the organization, and the strictness or discipline that is required by the ERP, then you can go for a custom built in-house developed system. But later on, if you want to be with a, because the thing is like to have all type of technical facilities available or expertise available in this company is difficult, or it might be costly also to have all type of programmers and things like that. In that scenario, you need to go for a custom build. But initially, you can start with your own team and let them do the development. But a lot of time overruns would be there, which needs to be handled.
Okay, Mr. Puneet Ajwani is asking how much customization is considered as normal for any ERP?
Customization up to about 15 to 20% is normal. When we talk about customization, mostly the customization would be in terms of reports and on-screen queries. It cannot be customization in processes, which has to be rigid as it is. So 20-25% customization is okay. And there too again the reports 20-25%, because if all the reports are customized, maybe the tight integration or the efficiency of the reports is lost. So your systems would start getting slower if incorrect report customization is done.
There's a question from Kautili Mishra. She's asking, is it mandatory to get trained on a well-known ERP like SAP or Oracle for a successful career?
Yeah, now because most of the companies are implementing ERP, either one or another, and mostly all ERPs have the same functioning. The reason being that ultimately the business process still remains the same. A purchase is a purchase, or to purchase an item you have a process of intenting and inquiry and quotations, etc. That still remains. So ultimately the back-end process all remains same, with a few name changes in terms of terminology. So it would be advisable to go for ERP, because now most of the companies who have implemented ERP look for a person for recruitment who is trained in ERP rather than getting him trained, because then he becomes productive from day one rather than waiting for 6 months down the line to train him and make him productive.
We have a question from Mr. Ashish Goel. He says, what are the challenges in implementing ERP system in government departments?
The biggest challenge is basically manpower. There is a lot of resistance to change, and as we know in government, people are resistant to change, and they feel that their job is at stake when they implement ERP, which means that they would not like to share information also, and they feel that if I implement ERP, my importance is lost. So basically that is the challenge, and there's a lot of bureaucracy involved, which means that it takes a lot of time to make a decision, which naturally is detrimental to implementation of ERP.
This question for the day is, this is from Mr. Samir Chaudhary. He's asking, can we start implementing an ERP by first moving our financial accounting from Tally ERP to ERP, that a SAP or an Oracle finance module? Can the rest of the modules be implemented at a later stage?
Yeah, ERP can be implemented in phases. Like you can start with, it's a good idea to start with financial accounting, because the results are quantifiable and immediately known, and the management would be interested or would be convinced as to the importance of ERP. So you can implement financial only and then take up various modules. But if you implement only a single module, then it is not ERP. The ERP means when you cover all the modules or all the departments of the enterprise and computerize that.
Well, thanks Mr. Bhatt for your session on ERP for laymen. It was indeed a great session. I would also like to thank all our participants for their support in making this webinar a success. The recording of this webinar will be available on techgeek.com by tomorrow. Thank you all. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.